Life Audio.
Welcome to the Crosswalk Devotional. We're glad to have you listening with us. Today's topic is tithing. We'll return with the devotional after a brief message from our sponsor.
Hey everybody, I'm Dale.
And I'm Tamara.
We're hosts of the Kainos Project podcast,
where we help you tackle ancient Christian truths in an everyday settings.
To learn more and subscribe, go to lifeaudio.com.
The Historical Jesus Podcast is the sweeping saga of the life and times of Galilean Jesus of Nazareth, as well as the faith, religion, and church founded to honor and disseminate his acts and teachings. Join me, Mark Vinette, on this fascinating journey through time, exploring the many great works of Christian theology, literature, architecture, music, and art inspired by the words and deeds of Jesus Christ.
Could you be tithing and robbing God at the same time? Written by Clarence L. Haynes Jr., read by Rochelle Alberti. As Jesus looked up, he saw the rich putting their gifts into the temple treasury. He also saw a poor widow put in 2 very small copper coins. "Truly I tell you," he said, "this poor widow has put in more than all the others. All the people gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she out of her poverty put in all she had to live on." Luke 21, 1-4. I remember going to visit a church of a famous pastor. It was the first time I had ever been to the church, so there was some level of excitement on my behalf. Because this pastor was also a gospel recording artist, I expected the music and the worship to be exceptional, and it was just as I expected. I would add the volume seemed to be turned all the way up, and even though the music was good, it was way too loud. However, after the worship and a few announcements, it came time to take the offering. The process took about 45 minutes because they collected about 3 or 4 different offerings. There is much conversation in church circles about what we give and how much we give. The question of do you tithe or do you not tithe is a genuine issue in the church today. However, that conversation has the potential to lead you in the wrong direction. When that becomes the sole focus, then I believe we miss the actual heart of giving. And that is the direction I want to turn your attention to today, because that is what Jesus cares most about. In this verse in Luke, we have a scene very similar to the church I visited. People were coming and bringing their gifts and putting them into the church treasury. At the church I visited, the offering baskets were at the front of the church, and people marched up to put their offering in the basket. They did this for 3 different offerings, which is why it took 45 minutes to collect the offering. This appears to be happening here in Luke. The people are coming forward giving their gifts, and Jesus identifies the huge contrast between the gifts. The rich, who were no doubt giving large gifts, and the widow, who only gave 2 copper coins. Jesus tells us the gift of the widow was more than everyone else. What does this teach us about tithing and giving? Some people are robbing God by tithing. When tithing is the only measure used for giving, it doesn't consider the level of blessing we have received. For some people, to give a tenth means nothing to them. It requires no sacrifice, no trusting of God. And while it may represent obedience, the heart is not really engaged in the giving. It becomes easy to give away something they don't want or will never need. In situations like these, it can become easy to miss the heart of giving. For a person who has way more than enough, tithing may be a good place to begin, but if you stay there, then you may not actually be generous and could be robbing God. For some people, tithing means everything. For many people, just to give a tithe represents more than just 10%. It represents a total and complete trust in God and an acknowledgement of their dependence on Him. If I have $1 million and I give away 10%, I still have $900,000 left. For most folks, that is plenty left over to live on. However, if I have $1,000 and I give away 100, then I only have $900 left. Even though both may represent 10%, one can represent a greater sacrifice. While I believe we should encourage people to tithe, let's do it from a place of grace, recognizing that for some people, the tithe is their ceiling, and for others, the tithe is their floor. Intersecting faith and life. With giving, let's recognize there is a grace for giving, and sometimes the amount you give says nothing about your generosity. If we are going to be honest, for some, even tithing is not an authentic expression of their generosity, and for others, tithing is a genuine sacrifice that requires a substantial amount of faith and trust in God. Regardless of where you are, let's approach this subject with grace and thanksgiving, recognizing everything we have comes from the Father above. We used to say not equal gifts, but equal sacrifice. However, the sacrifice always seems to be greater for those who have less to give. Further reading, 2 Corinthians 8:7, 1 John 3:17, Deuteronomy 8:18.
The Crosswalk Devotional is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review this podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Dale.
And I'm Tamara,
And we're hosts of the Kainos Project podcast.
where we help you tackle ancient Christian truths in everyday settings.
The word kainos means new, and that's exactly what we want to do on our podcast. Bring something new from what is old in our faith.
And on this show, you might hear us explore topics like what the Bible has to say about student loan forgiveness, discuss how the Satanic Temple affects our view of religious liberty in America, or even question why is it that so many people are having rapture anxiety.
To learn more about the podcast, go to lifeaudio.com.